Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Stories and Folklore. Tonight, my friends, I'm going to share with you the ghost stories and folklore of a very interesting building in St. Augustine, Florida. And that is the old Spanish military hospital. For this video, my friends, I have a very special treat for you. I am going to give you the report directly from the ghost tour guide. So sit back and watch this footage taken from a ghost tour at this very location.
Pharmacist of his day. This is where he would be producing medicines from plants for soldiers who were here. You might have noticed our garden back out there. That's where the plants would be grown. And plants are even used for medicinal purposes today. I bet most of you use aloe at one point or another. Yeah, that is a plant. We actually grow that here. And we usually will use that when doing demonstrations for school groups that come through. The apothecary was very dedicated to his work. He had a table similar to this one right here. And so dedicated to his work that he is still seen every now and then behind this table. Every now and then he is seen out in the garden, tending to it, gathering up materials for his patients. His presence is so strong here, we have employees who are actually afraid to come back here at night because he's been hanging about. Now, in keeping with the fact that this was British territory for a while, there is a British soldier who's actually been seen clomping around in here. My only guess as to why he's still here is that no one ever told him it was time to go back home to England. Yeah, with the cameras, it's okay to take pictures, just don't go too nuts with the flashes. Yeah. Now, something else that I should mention about this room here. I see most of you took the option of sitting down on the benches. Well, we had a group that came in through here, and they were sitting on one of the benches. I don't remember which one it was. And it started hopping and shaking and moving around, going up and down, and our guests sitting on this thing, they were getting a little freaked out. Now, what are you doing here? And the tour guide who happened to be here this night, yeah, we call that a cheap shot. The tour guide accused the guests of trying to freak him out by moving all the bench around. You see, we don't deliberately do that. We do not deliberately move these benches around to scare people. But this is not the only place where things have a way of moving around this part of the building. We have a little bit more activity that occurs in the next room over here. And we're going to head to this room. This is where the soldiers would come when they were receiving treatment. To recover, they would sleep on beds like the ones you see here. These are rope beds. The ropes are tied up nice and tight to support the weight of the mattress and the sleeper above it. This leads us to the expression that we all know as sleep tight. As far as don't let the bed bugs bite, I think people were just kind of looking for a Don't let the bed bugs bite, I think people were just kind of looking for a rhyme. Now, interesting things happen with these beds, in particular with beds number 2 and number 3. We had a woman who was on one of our tours not that long ago. She was standing right between these two beds as the tour was going on, minding her own business, when all of a sudden she just sort of goes, ah! And just lets out this shriek. She said she felt a shot of pain right on her leg, right on her lower calf. And when she lifted up her pants leg so you could see what had happened, there was a bite mark there. And it was not an animal bite. It was a human bite. Yes. I heard that little, anyway. Well, another thing here. They are numbered 1, 2, and 3. The Spanish figured out that if patients were kept separate and the linens were clean, each patient would be assigned their own set of linens. They'd be bathed and shaved regularly. Cleanliness, they found, led to a speedier recovery. That's why you had them numbered, so everything was kept separate and not interspersed between patients. Well, beds number 3 and number 1 have a bedpan underneath. Number 2 does not. which we believe explains the possible reason why a bucket that is sometimes kept over there by the fireplace is routinely dragged over to bed number 2. Number 2 and number 3 collaborated on one evening. There was a ghost tour that was scheduled, and the next day our museum manager comes on in, opens the place up, comes back here, finds that bed number 2 and bed number 3 have been kind of pushed forward, and both of them shot off in opposite directions. In addition, there used to be a ceramic crucifix that was on the table over there, and it had fallen to the ground and it was broken. Now, our manager, our museum manager, she was just absolutely incensed. She's thinking that the guides must be trashing the place at night, or at the very least not keeping their guests in order, keeping them from doing this kind of stuff. And she went upstairs to where our main office is, all in a huff, all angry, and she draws out this diagram of what she'd seen. She's writing an angry letter saying what is going on here at night, and essentially saying, I want a meeting with all the guides right away to talk about this. Our general manager then kind of pulls her aside and says, oh, honey, there was no tour last night. Oh, yep, no ghost tour was through, yet we had that kind of stuff in the morning. Now, not everything that goes on in the building is actually confined to the lower part of the building. Things will happen at night as well. We have a regular sounding of yeah, I know it's a cliche, but it's true. It does happen. The ghost hunters, however, those people from the Sci-Fi Channel, TAPS. Okay, who did that? Those people from the Sci-Fi Channel, they came here to do an investigation. And our guides were helping them out and setting up camera angles, telling them some stories. And there's a sound that's coming from upstairs. Sounds like a piece of electronic equipment. Okay, that's kind of curious. Both doors to the upstairs part of the building are completely locked. They unlock them, go upstairs, and find that there is a device running. It's a printer. It is an unplugged printer that is running. And this thing is sending out papers right out at our guests and our guides. And one of our guides who was helping out that night, a young man, he took off running out of here screaming at the top of his lungs. He no longer works for us. Yeah. Well, after I mention these things, some people might like to hang around, maybe do some little bit of investigating on their own. However, usually, most people, they just kind of want to leave. And that's what we're going to be doing next, because there's other places I want to take you to, other places I want to show you here in this old city of St. Augustine. And we're going to head this way.
Why would a location such as this have so much paranormal activity, my friends? Could it be because of all of the souls that have passed on? Could it be those who have passed away and did not realize it yet? We cannot be certain, my friends. But if you are in the St. Augustine area, this is one location you definitely want to stop and check out for yourselves. If you like this episode of Ghost Stories and Folklore, be sure to hit the like button. And if you would like more videos from Panady videos in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications. If you dare. Ha 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 ha.